My niece sent me her Christmas list. A MacBook Pro, a designer bag, and $1,000 cash. I replied, "You'll be lucky to get a candle." My brother shot back, "Then stay away from our house." So I did. A week later, my brother sent a request for $2,000 via Venmo. I smiled and replied with, I actually got mad when I read it. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Cold outside, that gray kind of New York December cold where the light never really shows up. I was at work, still running on the high of my promotion, 2 weeks into being VP of marketing. My own office, my own team, the corner window view I used to stare at and daydream from the cubicles. Felt like I'd finally climbed out of the hole. All the skipped weekends, the 11 p.m. emails, the miserable salary negotiations, it had finally paid off. So I was still in that headspace when I checked my phone during a meeting break and saw the message from my niece, Harper. She's 12. A sharp kid, always had a little attitude, but I never really minded it before. She'd been sweet once. She used to draw me cards when she was younger. Used to call me her cool aunt. That version of her disappeared the second I started doing well. Attached to the message was a photo. Pink paper, bubble letters, glitter pen. Looked like a school project. But when I read the list, my jaw tightened. MacBook Pro. Marc Jacobs tote bag. $1,000 cash. Nothing else. No smiley faces. No, "Hi Aunt Julia." No, "Hope you're doing well." Just demands like I was her personal assistant. It hit a nerve. Not because of the list itself, I can afford all those things 10 times over. But because I realized right then that this was who she was turning into. And it wasn't random. It was learned. I texted her back, "You'll be lucky to get a candle." I didn't think much of it. Thought maybe it would shake her a little. Remind her I'm not just some ATM with a Christmas bow on top. But I should have known better. Not even 5 minutes later, my brother Matt calls. I let it ring. I was still fuming and I wasn't in the mood to hear his voice. A minute after the missed call, a text came through. "Then stay away from our house." That was it. No explanation. No attempt to ask what happened or if she said something out of line. Just a threat. Like I was the problem. So I did exactly that. I canceled my flight. I skipped Christmas with the family for the first time in 10 years. I stayed in the city and went to dinner with some coworkers who didn't expect gifts or make passive-aggressive comments about how money changes people. I thought it would end there. Silent treatment. Maybe a guilt trip in January. Instead, exactly 1 week later, I get a Venmo notification. Request from Matt Parker. Amount, $2,000. Note, holiday expenses. You know how it is. I sat there and stared at it for a good minute. No shame. No hesitation. Just a casual $2,000 ask like I was running a loan office for ungrateful relatives. I didn't even think. I hit decline. Then I sent him a reply with 2 words. Try working. I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. Not even close. That was just the beginning. Because once I stopped saying yes, I realized how many little pieces of my life they'd already claimed without asking. And once I started pulling those pieces back, everything around Matt started to fall apart. After I declined the Venmo request and sent try working, everything went quiet. Not normal quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged. Like everyone is in a group chat you're not part of. No texts. No calls. No sarcastic replies. Just nothing. At first I enjoyed it. I focused on work, on my new team, on finally having evenings that weren't spent putting out someone else's fire. I went to dinners. I went to the gym. I slept. It was peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in years. That lasted exactly 9 days. My mom called me on a Sunday morning. No hello, no small talk. She said Matt told her I'd abandoned the family, and that Harper had cried on Christmas morning because I'd promised her something and didn't deliver. I asked what exactly I'd promised. My mom hesitated, then said she wasn't sure, but Matt was very upset and Harper was really disappointed. I didn't correct her. I didn't defend myself. I just said I wasn't discussing it and ended the call. That's when the messages started. Not direct requests. Not yet. Just fishing. Matt would text me photos of Harper's report card with comments like straight A's. She really deserves something special. Then a picture of their living room with couches falling apart. But we'll manage, I guess. Then a casual must be nice to have a corner office. We're still grinding over here. I didn't reply to any of it. A few days later I got a notification from Amazon. A package had been delivered to my apartment. I wasn't expecting anything. When I got home there was a small box outside my door. Inside was a glittery thank you card from Harper. It said, "Thank you for always being the best aunt. You always come through for me. I can't wait to take my new bag to school. Love you." No bag. No gift receipt. Just the assumption. That was the moment it really hit me. This wasn't about Christmas anymore. This was expectation. They had already mentally spent my money. I didn't respond. I didn't call. I didn't correct her. I let it sit. 3 days later Matt called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't waste time. He said Harper's class was planning a spring break trip and it would be amazing for her and he didn't want her to feel left out, and since I was doing so well now, it would probably be easy for me to cover it. No, how are you? No, congrats again. Straight to the point. I told him no. Just that. No explanation. No softening. No apology. There was a pause. Then he laughed like I was joking. I said no again and hung up. After that his tone changed. The next text I got was, wow, you really changed. Then money really does ruin people. Then don't forget who was there for you when you had nothing. That one actually made me laugh. Because I remembered exactly who wasn't there when I had nothing. And I also remembered how much I'd already given them over the years. Rent, groceries, school supplies, emergency car repairs, birthday parties, vacations I paid for and didn't even go on. They didn't see generosity. They saw a resource. And now that the resource was cutting off, they were getting nervous. I didn't realize it yet, but that was the point where Matt stopped seeing me as his sister and started seeing me as a problem. The shift from silent treatment to full-blown manipulation didn't take long. After I told Matt no about Harper's trip and hung up on him, he spent a few days pretending to have dignity. Then the text started again, but now with a different flavor. Short, sharp, and petty. Stuff like you've changed or guess you forgot where you came from, and then my personal favorite. Success doesn't buy character. I didn't reply. It didn't bother me. At least not the way he wanted it to. It was almost funny in a sad kind of way. Like watching a kid throw rocks at a brick wall and wonder why it doesn't move. Then came Harper's birthday. I wasn't invited. Of course not. But my mom still sent me a photo from the party. A backyard setup, cheap plastic decorations, a folding table with store-bought cupcakes. What caught my eye wasn't any of that. It was the gift table. Right in the middle, dead center, was a MacBook box. Silver. New looking. But something about it didn't sit right. I zoomed in. The seal was already broken. The box looked too clean, like it had never been shipped or handled. And the more I stared at it, the more I realized it was probably empty. A prop. Meant to make a statement to everyone there. I didn't say anything. Let them have their moment. But later that night Matt called. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. On the third call I picked up. I don't know why. Maybe part of me still hoped he'd say something honest. He didn't. He started by asking if I saw the pictures. Said Harper had a great day despite everything. Then he added, in that flat, fake casual voice he always used when he was about to say something nasty, we made it work. Even without your help. I didn't respond. Then came the line that shifted everything. He said, you know, it's actually kind of pathetic. You used to be generous. Now you act like you're better than everyone. But you're not. You just got lucky, Julia. It landed differently than he thought it would. Not because it hurt, but because I recognized it. I'd heard that tone before. From men I worked with who didn't get the promotions I did. From exes who joked about me out-earning them. From former friends who ghosted the second I started building a life they couldn't relate to. I just got lucky. Like the years I spent buried in deadlines and barely affording rent were a scratch-off ticket. Like every sacrifice I made didn't count. I didn't hang up right away. I let the silence sit. Let him feel how done I was. Then I ended the call and started taking inventory. First, the Netflix account they'd been using for years. My name on the plan. Logged in on every TV in their house. Gone. Then the Amazon account where Harper had been ordering things with my card still saved. Spotify family plan? Removed them both. The iPad I gave Harper last year, one of the expensive ones with the keyboard and Apple Pencil, was still registered to my Apple ID. I tracked it. Sure enough, it was active. I wiped it remotely and locked it. They noticed. 3 days later Matt called again. I didn't answer. Then came a Venmo request. $150. Caption, groceries. Declined. 2 hours later another one. $60. Gas money. Declined. That night one more. $12. Lunch money. I didn't even bother hitting decline. I just let it sit there. That's when I realized this had never been about emergencies. It was never about Christmas or Harper or birthday parties. It was about access. Matt believed he had permanent, automatic access to everything I built, just because he shared my last name. And now that he didn't, he was flailing. Testing smaller and smaller asks to see if anything would stick. Like I wouldn't notice the pattern. Like I'd break eventually and give in. But I wasn't just done giving. I was starting to enjoy watching them learn what no actually meant. It started with a number I didn't recognize. I was in a meeting, glanced down at my phone and saw it ring 3 times before it stopped. 10 minutes later, a voicemail popped up. It was Harper. Her voice was sugar-coated, unusually polite. She said she missed me and hoped I was doing well and maybe we could hang out soon. Just the two of us. Like before. No mention of Christmas. No mention of the iPad I wiped or the bag that never showed up. Just a breezy little message with a soft, familiar tone I'd heard 100 times. Every time she wanted something. I didn't call back. The next morning she texted, "Hey Aunt Julia. I was thinking, maybe we could go shopping sometime soon? There's a boutique in Midtown I really want to go to. Everything is so cute and I'd love to show you. Miss you. Miss you." Right. I waited a few hours before answering. Said sure. Let's plan something soon. Maybe this weekend. That was all it took. He jumped straight into the fantasy. Sent me the name of the boutique, then a list. Yes, a literal list. Of the things she'd seen on TikTok that she wanted to try on, which I knew really meant to take home. Balenciaga this, off-white that. Cropped jackets that cost more than my first car. She even threw in a pair of boots she said she knew would look so good in her locker mirror selfies. I said of course. We'll make a day of it. He sent me heart emojis. Told me I was the best. I didn't even put it on my calendar. That weekend I packed a bag and went upstate. I didn't tell anyone. No warnings. Just logged off, drove out to a cabin I booked the night before, and spent 2 days in complete silence with nothing but wine, a fire, and a stack of unread books. I posted a few pictures online. Nothing too obvious. A shot of the view. A latte. A photo of a trailhead with my boots in frame. By Saturday afternoon I had 3 missed texts from Harper. "Are we still going today? I'm ready. Did I mess up the time?" I didn't respond. By Sunday Matt was calling again. I let it go to voicemail. Monday morning I finally listened to it. He wasn't even pretending to be calm anymore. Said Harper had cried. Said she waited by the front door for 2 hours. Said Tanya, his wife, was furious and that he didn't need the added stress right now. Then he hit me with it. "This isn't you. I don't know what your problem is lately, but you've become impossible. You used to have a heart. Now it's like you get off on playing games. Is that who you are now?" That part actually made me smile. Because yes, that is who I am now, at least with them. I texted him back. "You told me to stay away from your house. I'm respecting that." He didn't reply. But someone else did. Later that day I got a message from Tanya. Long unhinged. He called me manipulative. Accused me of toying with a child's emotions, and said I was deliberately setting Harper up to be disappointed. She called me selfish. Said I used to be generous and now I just wanted to lord it over people, how successful I am. At the end she said something that stuck. "You're acting like you're better than this family. But you're not. You just got lucky, Julia. People like you always fall." There it was again. That word, lucky. I didn't respond. But I did something else. I went online and found a photo of a limited edition Saint Laurent bag. The kind Harper had mentioned offhand during one of our shopping plan texts. It was ridiculous, black crocodile leather, structured, loud. I downloaded the photo and texted it to her. No words. Just the photo. She replied in less than a minute. "OMG, is that for me?" I waited. Exactly 7 minutes. Then I wrote, "Maybe. Let's see how things go." That was all I said. She didn't ask for clarification. She didn't push. She just said thank you 6 times in a row, followed by 3 different combinations of crying and heart emojis. I knew what she was picturing. Herself walking into school, that bag swinging from her shoulder, surrounded by girls whispering. I knew the exact fantasy she was building in her head. And I let her build it. Brick by brick. Hope by hope. Because now I was the one writing the script. And I wasn't done. It all unraveled faster than I expected. After I sent Harper that last message. "Might have a surprise for you soon. Be patient. It'll be worth it." It was like lighting a fuse. She started building the fantasy publicly. Stories on Instagram every other day. Big things coming eyes. A close-up of her hand on the door handle of some designer store. A blurry shot of a shopping bag on someone else's shoulder with the caption manifesting. It would have been comical if it weren't so familiar. I knew that feeling too well. How it felt to want something so badly that you believed it into existence. The only difference was, I'd learned not to rely on people who only gave when they wanted to feel powerful. She hadn't learned that yet. And Matt? He was unraveling just as quickly. But quieter. It started with an email of all things. Subject, "Hey. Just need a little help." It was long, over-explaining like he was trying to make it sound casual. Tanya had cut back her hours. Harper was struggling in school. The heat in the house had been acting up. He wasn't asking for a handout, he said just a little bridge to get through the month. $1,500. Nothing compared to what I used to help with. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into the auto lease portal. The car I'd co-signed for him. Back when I thought I was being a good sister. was 3 months behind on payments. I still had access because, of course, he'd never taken my name off anything. I called the finance company and asked about termination. The woman on the line put me on hold, came back with numbers, then asked if I wanted to proceed. I didn't even blink. Yes. Repossess it. It wasn't about being spiteful. It was about finally removing my name from the chaos he created. If they needed the car so badly, they could fight to keep it on their own. A few days later, Harper posted a story. Just her sitting on the front porch in a hoodie looking off to the side. Caption, "Some people say they care. They don't." I watched it once, closed it, and didn't open Instagram again for the rest of the night. The next morning Matt called. I ignored it. Then another call. Another voicemail. I waited until lunch to listen. His voice wasn't just angry, it cracked in places. He said Harper had been crying all weekend, that Tanya was furious that I had crossed a line. He kept saying he didn't understand what I was doing. Then he said it. "You're acting like you're better than us. You're not. You just got lucky, Julia. That's all it ever was. Don't forget who helped you when you were nothing." That last part actually made me laugh. When I was nothing, Matt was nowhere. When I was working 2 jobs and skipping meals to pay rent, he didn't call. When I asked for a small loan once in college, $200, he never responded. I'd let all that slide over the years. Buried it under birthday gifts and family photos and "she's your niece" excuses. But now, I remembered everything. I thought that was the end. I thought he'd retreat, sulk, lick his wounds. But no. Tanya reached out next. Not a call. Not a text. She showed up. At my building. The doorman called up to let me know there was a woman down here asking for you. Says she's your sister-in-law. I stood there stunned. I hadn't seen Tanya in person in almost a year. I told him not to let her up. 5 minutes later I got a message. From Tanya. Outside. She was standing across the street. I could see her from my window. She was pacing, phone in hand, looking up at the building like she didn't know which window was mine. But she did. Then came the text. "I'm not leaving until we talk. This has gone far enough. You owe Harper an explanation." I didn't respond. I watched her for another few minutes. Then I closed the curtains. An hour later she was gone. That night I sent one final message. To Harper. "There won't be a surprise. I won't be buying you anything. I love you, but I'm not your wallet, and I never should have let things get this far. I hope you understand one day. But if not, that's okay." No response. Not that night. Not the next day. And just like that, the silence returned. Only this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was earned. The silence didn't last long. 2 days after I sent that final message to Harper, I got a notification from my building's security system. Motion detected. Side entrance. I checked the feed. It was Tanya again. This time she wasn't pacing. She was banging on the glass. Security escorted her off the property before I even had to get involved. But not before she caused a small scene. Yelling, pointing at the building, saying something about family betrayal. I watched it all through the app, sipping coffee like it was a movie. After that, everything started sliding downhill. Fast. Matt texted later that day, threatening to come sort this out in person, if I didn't start acting like family. I didn't respond. That evening my mom called. Said Tanya had nearly lost it in front of Harper. Said Matt was sleeping in his car now. Said their electricity had been shut off the night before because someone forgot to pay the bill. I didn't even ask who. Mom sounded tired. She didn't ask me to fix it, not directly. Just said, "I hope you're not proud of how all this turned out." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to explain. I tried. I'd helped. I'd given them every chance to turn things around. And they burned it. But the real end came a week later. It was a Saturday. Warm for January. I was coming back from a run when I saw Harper sitting on the steps of my building. Alone. Hoodie up, phone in hand, backpack next to her. I stood there for a second, unsure if I should turn around. But she looked up, saw me, and stood. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She walked up quiet. And then, as casually as if she were asking for directions, she said, "I told Mom and Dad I was gonna stay with you for a few days." I blinked. Thought I'd misheard. She went on, saying she needed a break from all the drama, that things at home were messed up, and that she'd rather be with someone who has their life together. I should have felt flattered. Dad, I felt tired. I asked where Tanya thought she was. She said she told them she was at a friend's. That sealed it. I looked at her and said as gently as I could, "Harper, you can't stay here. This isn't your way out." Her face dropped. I told her I loved her. I told her this wasn't punishment. But I wasn't going to be the place she ran to every time her parents broke something and refused to fix it. She didn't cry. She just nodded, picked up her bag and said, "I figured." She walked away. No hug. No goodbye. I watched until she turned the corner, then went upstairs. That was the last time I saw her. A few days later, I blocked Matt, Tanya, and Harper on everything. Phone, email, socials. I sent one final message to my mom saying this isn't about bitterness. It's about boundaries. I'm done now. Please don't ask me to undo that. She didn't respond. Not right away. But a month later she sent a text that said, I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. And that was it. No dramatic confrontation. No teary reconciliation. Just a clean final cut. No more promises. No more games. Just peace. A month passed. Quiet. No calls. No pop-ups at my building. No late-night Venmo requests with passive-aggressive captions. Just silence. The kind I used to beg for back when every week came with a new crisis from Matt's side of the family. I didn't unblock them. I didn't check their socials. I didn't ask anyone how they were doing. But people talk. Especially in families where drama fills the gaps where responsibility should have been. It was my cousin Jenna who called one afternoon, pretending to ask about work but really just fishing. She said, so, I heard things kind of exploded over there. I didn't bite. I just said, yeah, something like that. Then she told me everything I hadn't asked. Matt had lost his job. Something about missing too many days, showing up late, not being reliable. Tanya had been trying to get a part-time job back at the salon she used to work at, but no one was hiring mid-season. Harper apparently had started skipping school. Not a lot, but enough to be noticed. Enough that the school called. Jenna said Tanya blamed me. Said that Harper was acting out because she'd been abandoned. That word again. Abandoned. It's wild how quickly people forget the years you spent holding everything together. Jenna asked if I wanted to meet up, maybe talk it out, maybe clear the air. I told her I was good. Really. For the first time in years I was sleeping through the night. I wasn't checking my phone in dread. I wasn't budgeting my peace around someone else's irresponsibility. A week later my mom sent me a message. No guilt this time. Just an update. They're moving in with Tanya's sister. Can't afford the house anymore. I thought you'd want to know. Don't feel bad. It's not your fault. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally realized. Caring doesn't have to mean saving. That Saturday I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I walked into that same boutique Harper had mentioned weeks before. The one she had begged me to take her to. I looked at the bags. Touched a few. Tried on a pair of sunglasses. Spoke to the clerk who offered me champagne while I browsed. And I bought myself a bag. Not the most expensive one. Not the one Harper would have picked. Something simple. Thick. Quiet. A reward, not a rescue. I walked out into the cold with that bag on my arm. No one waiting, no one asking what else they could get from me. And for the first time in years I felt entirely mine.